His amplifier blew up. His amplifier blew up. Where's, let me get one.
No, not yet. Can someone step out a shot over there, please? Bill, look at it.
Hey, Frank, what's the format going to be? What are you going to do?
Chief is going to describe the picture, and he will point out what he's talking about on the big screen. Other than that,
Can we get mics over to him?
ask some questions. Dan, you're still going to be the last one to have the camera on. I mean, Mike.
Watch your foot, man. Just the right foot. No.
Rolling.
Go ahead, John.
We are distributing today the new composite drawing of the 44 killer, provided based on descriptions provided by witnesses to the shooting on July 31st. The description is as follows: male, white, 25 to 32 years old, 5'8" to 5'9", 165 to 175 pounds, good athletic type build, clean shaven, dark almond-shaped eyes, dark wavy hair, sensuous mouth, high cheekbones. His clothing consisted of a blue denim jacket, a matching blue denim pants, slightly flared. A shirt was bluish gray Kiana with small kidney-shaped designs spaced 3 inches apart, and his shoes were blue denim deck shoes with narrow white band. This description was provided by, the composite was provided by one witness. The description was supplied by a number of witnesses. I would say this about the witnesses in case there are any questions. We are not going to identify the witnesses, nor are we going to describe what part they played in the events that night.
How would you describe the differences between the old sketches and this one?
Well, as you can probably see, there are differences, but we also see similarities between the old sketches and this one. If we discuss the differences, I might point out that the 3 witnesses who provided previous composites were, at the time that they saw the killer being shot at and under great strain, and saw him only briefly.
Chief Keenan, has the police department placed a firm lid on witnesses and victims, living victims of the 44 caliber killer, in terms of press contact with them?
The victims have asked very strenuously that we preserve their confidentiality, the confidentiality of their identity. And we are going to honor that. They have been very cooperative, but they are very apprehensive about having their names exposed and
You mean the witnesses?
and being contacted. Yes.
Well, Chief, did you get in touch with all of the previous victims who are still alive in the preparation of this composite?
No, not in the preparation of the composite, but we're in the process of showing the composite to them to see that if this more accurately fits their description.
Well then, this composite sketch is based on the one witness?
This composite sketch is based on several witnesses to events which took place 10 days ago.
All right. Does this mean then that you are closer in terms of really identifying this man? I mean, have the witnesses who have come forward now really help you?
We feel that this is a much better description of the individual looking for than we had before, based on the fact that there is an agreement among the people that we talked to concerning the events on July 31st, and because some of the people who helped provide the description were not under the stress of being victims.
Well, at one point, there was some discussion about the fact that he may have worn a wig. Has that been discounted?
No, we are still considering the fact. In fact, we have a feeling that he did wear a wig at some point during the events on July 31st.
Is this composite with the wig on at all?
This is without the wig.
Chief King, does this composite look like any of the dozen or so persons who were suspects prior to the Brooklyn shooting?
I can't comment on that.
Is it true that prior to that Brooklyn shooting, the night that it happened, that one of the suspects who was being watched closely by the homicide task force was lost?
I won't comment on anything to do with the suspects that night.
Chief, can we assume then that this drawing is the definitive?
That's news to me, Jeff. I just take a position. I'm not going to comment on those people that we were looking at.
Well, just after the shooting, Commissioner Todd said something to the effect that most of the suspects that they had then were washed out because they were being watched. And they obviously didn't. But there had also been reports that one of the suspects had taken a tail, had been lost in a couple of hours.
The people that we had most considered as likely suspects at that time are all accounted for.
Chief Keenan, is anyone under regular surveillance now? Are there any active potential suspects?
I can't comment on that.
Chief, these drawings, can we consider them the definitive drawings? I hate to use the word, but are the other drawings inoperative now, or?
No, we have to take each event as a separate incident. This is the composite drawing of the people who observed this man on July 31st. The other drawings are the perceptions of the victims on two of the occasions on prior occasions.
But you're relying on this perception because they had a better look?
Yes, we feel that this is a better description of and a composite picture of the person.
Why did it take as long as it did to construct this composite? It seemed to me that every day it was going to be ready.
Number one, there were a number of witnesses involved who had to be spoken to. They were interviewed, they were re-interviewed. There was some reluctance on their part because of the pressure of and a desire on their part to preserve anonymity. There were improvements made on original sketches, and we feel this is about the best sketch that can be done.
What would you say to a person who might know this man and is afraid to come forward? If the witnesses are afraid to give you a description, what do you say to the person who might know this?
Well, I would simply appeal to them to come forward because despite what fears they may have, they have to consider the tragedy that has occurred and tragedies that may occur in the future.
Chief Keenan, are you now actively relying on the public for additional information which will take you to this man, or does the investigation now find itself with enough to go on by itself?
No, we're still looking for information, specific information from the public.
Some of the previous
witnesses really help you. Does this really help us here?
Quite obviously, we can't take that sketch and go out and pick out the person we're looking for. But it helps us in the sense that a person in the general public or some friend of his may be able to come forward and say, this looks like the man we're looking for.
Some of the previous witnesses spoke of dark, penetrating, striking eyes. Did any of the witnesses this time note that characteristic in the
They didn't. Yes, that was indicated, but they didn't stress that. They stressed the way the eyes are described in the leaflet.
Hey, Chief, can you clear up this car, this Volkswagen? Is it in the picture, out of the picture? What's the status?
We have talked to a number of people who have told us about cars of various makes, colors, connected with events that night, including the Volkswagen. At this point, we are not prepared to connect that car or any car with the killer, but we're still investigating that. We attempted to characterize let me say this, we have not been able to characterize this composite with any particular nationality or race, and we have pursued that line with the witnesses.
You say no race, then he's described as a white man. You say you haven't been able to characterize him as a member of a race, but he's described as
Yeah, definitely is a white man.
You think he may have Hispanic background?
We don't know.
Nothing that's kind of lying
No, nothing indicates that he's Spanish or any particular
Oh,
nationality.
Chief, have you had any kind of new information? Where are you exactly with the investigation of Son of Sam? Is it something that you can tell us about?
Of course, we have a better description. We have more people this time who saw the killer than at any time in the past. We have some investigative aspects where we are pursuing, which I can't go into, and I feel that we're making progress.
Chief, what about the published report yesterday that Sam is a high school English teacher?
I have nothing in the investigation so far indicates that, or that he's a member of any occupation.
Chief, has any serious thought been given of handling this investigation? Could possibly be two killers, or two people who are the son of Sam, who know each other, who are working in concert?
No, there's no reason that we would have to conclude that.
None at all?
No.
What about the possibility of someone else driving?
We have nothing to substantiate that either. That there's anyone else associated with this man.
Commissioner, any more information on the psychological profile of wine or motive?
No. We have
Nothing on the psychological aspect.
Chief, do you have any information from airline stewardess who says man on her flight identified himself as?
Yes, an airline stewardess on a flight to Fort Lauderdale on June 26th or 27th, I'm not sure which, said that there was a passenger on the flight, and as the passenger was leaving the plane at Fort Lauderdale, she discussed the headline in the paper, and she spoke to him about it, and he said seriously, yes, I did that, and left the plane. She now says, having seen the profiles recently in the papers, says that this looks like the man. We have interviewed her. We are still following that phase of the investigation.
That Son of Sam may now be in Fort Lauderdale?
I don't know.
Has she seen this?
He got off at Fort Lauderdale,
Has she seen the news?
and that was over a month ago.
Did she see the new sketch, or was she?
No, she hasn't seen the new sketch yet. The new sketch is just being distributed today.
Was she helpful in describing Son of Sam for you? And helping make this composite?
No, had nothing to do with this composite. Yes, that will be done. You must remember that she is not a witness to a crime. She just saw a person who looks like the previous composite, and apparently he made some statement along those lines.
When this was?
June 26th, I think the evening of June 26th.
The passenger was struck out?
We are checking into that.
Is it possible to live outside New York?
Oh yes, it's possible to live out in New York City or out of New York City.
Commissioner,
Yes, it is.
Commissioner,
By virtue of some of the investigative leads we're pursuing.
Chief Keenan, at this point, do you believe that if the new composite were posted on billboards, large billboards in the city, that it might be of some help?
That's a possibility we can look into. It will be distributed, this flyer will be distributed to all members of the department, to other departments, other agencies, to groups such as taxi cab drivers and so forth, and we will hope to get the widest possible distribution.
Chief, do you believe that?
Our inclination is to feel that his target is women, or are women. He has shot both men and women, but invariably a woman has been in the picture, and in most cases the woman has been the person most seriously injured. So we are going along under the assumption that his target initially is a woman and the man happens to be there.
All right, is it any?
That's quite possible, quite possible.
Are you still getting telephone warnings as you report the shooting? The son of Sam?
Yes, we still get calls from people who say they're the son of Sam, and as a matter of fact, we arrested someone a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, who had called a number of times saying he was the son of Sam. We were able to trace him and find him.
Do you have any way of knowing when the real son of Sam called on his phone? I mean, is there anything?
We have no voice identification.
Are you sending this new sketch to all the days?
Yes, it will have the widest possible distribution.
Chief, it's also possible he has an experience of makeup. This is a possible without makeup, because he could make up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to move over there and get a better look.
I think the media is very helpful in showing the public to
I have enough when I left the house.
Eddie?
I'm sorry to hear that.
Hold on, another minute.
It's out of the way. What are you guys doing? Epic over there?
Attached to what, the latent
Identification section.
identification section?
M-A-C-K.
M-A-C.
The setup is no good.
Why does the, although,
Let Keenan answer that.
Let's get away.
Are we ready to roll now? Is everybody ready? All right, roll please, Matt.
Although they insist that he is male white, in your drawing there is a Latin cast to his face. Can you explain how that happens?
I only put down what the witness tells me to put down.
How was it working with this witness?
Working with these witnesses was a tough grind, so to speak.
Was it tough to pull information out of him?
Exactly. This happened at night, not under the best of lighting conditions. And it's hard to get people to elicit what they've seen in the dark.
Can you describe the process for us? How do you get them to help you?
The process is basic that we use on all our interviews.
Tell us about that, please.
We show them a set of photographs, random photographs that we have. Actually, they're extra photographs, and they contain various shapes. And we ask them to go through and find out, or look at, and pick out the different features that they saw on the person that we're interested in.
How many times did you have to change basic features until you finally had the sketch?
It could be hundreds of changes.
Officer McCormick, how good are you? When, in the past, when a person has been arrested for a crime, how much do they look like your sketch?
We don't make an exact likeness of it. What we're trying to do is type him. In other words, the detective at the scene gets a report that this is a basic type of person he's looking for, and only basic in that it's height and weight and physical description. We try to put down a verbal, visual description.
In the past, have people who've been arrested ever looked like
Oh,
your
yes.
sketches?
There's a great variety in the five different sketches. Is there anything that you as the artist see as the similarity between, or can
What do you mean, Bob?
As I said before, I only put down what they tell me to put down. I can't inject what I feel, or any of my feelings into it.
How comfortable are you with this new sketch in terms of your awareness of the previous?
I feel with this sketch just like any other sketch that I've done. So, I mean, there's no comfortable feeling.
Did you get your version of what these witnesses said to you in combination? So in other words, what they said were the strongest impression they had of what this fellow looked like?
Basically, all the witnesses give the same, not only in this particular case, but in any case, they basically tell me his nose, his mouth, his eyes, there's nothing peculiar about this particular
But as the person who had to draw this, I mean, you must have an idea of what they said his face was shaped like, and what his eyes looked like, and what impressed them most about the fellow. And I'm wondering if you could translate that for us, put it in your words as an artist.
I'll still go back and say that I just finished an interview right now. And questions were basically the same type of questions I asked during any of my interviews, and the responses are not exactly the same, but in the same line.
In other words, now, in this case, what was the most striking feature? What was the easiest thing for this witness to remember about the killer?
There was nothing easy.
Now, one thing stood out in the killer's face?
If you're looking for a mark or a scar or a deformed eye, there's nothing like that.
Did they talk about dark, piercing eyes? Did they mention that?
That's an expression.
How much time went into this drawing?
I'd say more than 4 hours.
Of actual drawing?
Actual drawing time.
How many changes did you draw?
I don't know, but never keep track of the changes.
Bill, based on your experience, if the .44 caliber killer would be brought into this room right now, how close might he look to the sketch?
I don't know. This is only based on what the witness told me to put down.
How close have witnesses been in the past?
Very close.
Bill, if someone says he had very piercing eyes, he looked at me like a madman, that wouldn't be of any use to you?
No, because this is an expression used at that particular time.
What did the witness say when you showed them your completed sketch?
The only time a sketch is terminated is when the witness is satisfied with what he put down.
Was the witness satisfied completely?
I just answered your question.
Pardon?
I just answered your question.
Bill, you said that you started by showing photographs. What happens after?
We take the photographs and we take the parts that they had picked out and we put them down and make a preliminary sketch away from the witness or the victim. And then we call the person in and have them make changes. In other words, we use the basic sketch as something to work from, going towards what they've seen.
How many times the theory of the being dismissed?
No.
If you have more than one witness, how do you...
Take the best witness.
You said take the best, you make a judgment.
Have you experienced a lot of disagreements between various positions on this,
No, not in a particular sense.
You said there was no one thing that these people said to you that stood out. Can you at least say some of the things they said about?
Well, what's shown in the sketch right now that you have, I would say that speaks for itself.
Get it verbally, though, as to what they told you that led you to make the sketch that way, other than selecting the photographs, but just some of what they said to you about what their idea of how this kind of looked.
I have to go back to what's shown in the sketch. This is what they've told me. And this is a composite of all the things that they've told me.
Bill, was the witness who helped you with this sketch under hypnosis at the time he was working with you?
No, they weren't. None of them were.
None of them.
Is there any way to explain to us why this profile does not look like the profile of this person?
You'd have to ask the witness.
What was different? What makes the difference? It doesn't. To several, it does not look like the profile of that person.
I don't know. I take a completely objective look at what I'm doing. In other words, if you told me to draw a line a certain way, I draw it a certain way. Not the way I want to draw it, but the way you want to draw it. And if one side looks different from the other side, that goes back to what the witnesses stated. In other words, I've just put down in a pictorial sense a statement by a witness.
How long did you work with? How long did you work with these witnesses or the witness that you used to make this composite?
Starting last Monday, week ago Monday.
How many days did you work?
Till Friday.
All for 5 days?
And part of Monday morning, this past Monday morning.
What was the most difficult thing of the whole process?
There's no one particular difficult thing. I think most of all of it is difficult.
Now, you've done this with in other crimes. Would you say that these witnesses were
no different than anybody else?
Not more traumatized, more afraid of?
There's a whole thing about it that you guys I can go into, but not now. I would say that the witnesses I had were average witnesses. Why do they remember things and memory and things like that? Something.
Yeah. Bill, have you ever kept a scorecard as to when your drawings, as to how many of them have contributed to the actual capture, and how many have not?
No, I rely on the people I work with to notify me.
I cut it.
Okay, yeah.
This kind of a reference made.
You said that you go to your best witness where you have many witnesses. What do you do after you talk to the best witness? Then you go back to the other witnesses and the confirmation?
Right. We ask for confirmation based on what they showed.
I see. How do you determine who's your best witness?
From the detective who has the case. Basically, he can tell me who he feels is the best, and I go with that.
Bill, I have one more question, if you don't mind. Have your sketches in the past resulted in the apprehension of ghosts?
Yes, they have.
Do you know how many instances?
The exact count, I don't remember. I can give you, I'd have to go down and look at my log and break them out.
More?
I'll look at this.
More than 50.
And he gives a name, you might remember something.
Well, shoot that camera, so.
One that stands out in my mind is the story written, looking for Mr. Good. That was a successful case that we used the sketches in. There were
No, I got it.
police shootings that we used the sketches in that added to the credibility of the witnesses that we had on hand.
Good, thanks.
Numerous rape cases that I know here in the last 2 years.
Over a dozen times. Was that just murder cases, or was that all cases?
Oh,
You said over a dozen. I don't know if that's a good figure.
I'm going back over, let's say, maybe 1,500 views. Important ones. What I mean important ones is the ones that had some kind of notoriety in them.
But you said there dozens.
Within the homicide.
And how many sketches do you? 1,500, that means 1,500 sketches.
Right.
1,500 sketches.
Just pass.
Where do you spend?
High school and like correspondence schools.
What high school was it, high school?
Evening school. 7 hours in the summertime.
Hey, Bobby. How old?
Yeah.
38 years.
Jerry. Hey man, put me on camera. I want to do the job. Hey, yo, put me on camera. Hey Jerry, I got you your white skin. That hurt you, man? Just soft for your tight skin.
I don't make much noise though.
Stand still 1 second. Right, roll. Speed. You were the officer who put the ticket on the car.
No, it was my partner.
I'm not involved. You his partner?
No, Officer Catania put the summons on.
I know who you are. Now. Obviously, you can't tell us what's going on inside there. So that's
No, I haven't been before the grand jury at the present time, and I don't wish to make any statements at this time.
The grand jury is currently hearing evidence in this matter. There are other witnesses that have to appear before the grand jury this afternoon. and we would prefer at this time not to make any comment upon their deliberations or the evidence that's going before the grand jury.
All right. I just wanted you to stand there. Give me a picture opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. That's good. Thank you.
I'm rolling.
Hey, you better look out. You better stay out of that picture.
Yeah.
Spade.
unless you were talking to him, unless you were talking to him direct, he wouldn't like bring up a conversation or anything.
We had heard different stories that this guy was quarrelsome at times with different people. You ever heard any stories like that? Or had he ever raised his voice?
Not here.
What's your name, if I could ask?
My name is Casey Ziegler.
Casey Ziegel? Casey, would it be all right for you? We're with Nightly News. We're trying to pull together just some reaction from people who worked around him. I know nobody really knew him well, but I'd like to talk to just a few people who know him. You know, knew of him at least. I'll ask you to spell Casey Ziegel to make sure I don't get that screwed up.
Right.
You want to give the wife a call? It's a good chance this will be on the NBC Nightly News. At about 7 o'clock here in New York City. You might be interested.
What channel is that?
Channel 4. What do you mean, what channel is that? Come on. Ready?
Go ahead.
Ziegel?
Yes.
Spell Casey Ziegel.
K-A-S-S-E-Z-E-G-E-L.
K-A-S-S-E-Z-E-G-E-L. Thank you. Mr. Ziegel, what kind of man was Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Berkowitz.
Berkowitz, I'm sorry. What? Please don't stand behind me there, babe. What kind of man was Mr. Berkowitz?
Mr. Berkowitz was a more or less of a quiet, reserved person. He seemed to be a good worker, did his job well. And nothing like the reports that I hear about him being quarrelsome or angry or anything.
What was your reaction? What was your reaction when you first heard that this guy was more than likely the son of Sam?
Well, last night I heard over the radio a report, and when they gave his name, it didn't jive until I heard that he was a postal employee, and I was just dumbfounded, speechless, because I had no suspicions whatsoever. No suspicions whatsoever.
What did he do did he do anything on the job that would lead you to believe a guy could have that sort of...
No arguments or temper or raising his voice or anything like that.
He worked well with people?
Yes, it seemed to work all right with people.
You ever hear any complaints about him?
No.
So what's your, as you reflect on all of this now, what's your feeling?
It's just it's a sad, sad day. And I'm glad that they've got him, finally. It's just unfortunate. It's a sad day. Sad day. It's a terrible day.
Mr. Ziegel, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That, yes, sir. Let me make one picture over your shoulder here, just in case we might need it. Just talk to me, please.
Right.
Look at him and just talk.
Tell me one more. We're not recording. What do you think of this guy, son of Sam?
Oh, as I said, he was a quiet, reserved person. More or less kept to himself. It's just the whole thing is really shocking. It's speechless. It's sad. It's really sad.
All right. Thank you very much. DK?
M-U-R-D-A-U-G-H.
D-A... Murdaugh.
Yeah.
Murdaugh. M-A-M-U-R-D-A-U-G-H.
Right.
Frank Murdaugh. Speed, please. We're on the other side, right, for the other dude?
Yeah, we're on the other side.
All right. Speed, please. I want to slate this. Huh? No, you can stand there if you want to. You can't stand back there. You can't stand back there. Gerald Harrington speaking with Frank Elliott.
Mike Elliott.
Make that Mike Elliott. M-I-K-E-E-L-L-I-O-T. 2 T's. E-L-L-I-O-T-T.
Right.
Mike Elliott. 2 T's. 2 L's, 2 T's. Mike, how did you know?
Well, when he first started working here, it was about 6 months ago, the foreman told me to break him in and show him what to do on, processing the mail and the collection. And we worked together for about 2 or 3 months, and we sat and had coffee together. And he did a lot of talking mostly about he liked to go fishing, and he did a lot of reading. He liked to read. I think mostly novels, And the only thing he ever said about the son of Sam was that he advised one girl to put her hair up in a bun, that she shouldn't wear long hair because that's what son of Sam was after, girls with long hair, long brown hair. And That's about it.
He actually advised one of the girls he was working with that she should wear her hair up?
Right. He told her to wear her hair up, that Sam is going after girls with long hair, long brown hair. He told this to the girl. Her name is Teresa Graciano.
Did he ever say... Y'all gonna have to stand back, please, please. Did he ever say or do anything that led you to be a little suspicious, or at least wonder kind of where or what he's all about?
No, he never spoke about his time before the post office. He never did any talking about his home life or anything. The only thing he spoke about was his job. He says he hopes he could make it, you know, the training and everything, and that he likes working here in the post office. That's the only thing. You know.
What about girls? After all, he was 24 years old.
Well, he had spoken a couple of times. He saw a couple of girls pass by that worked in the post office. He said they were good-looking girls, you know, but that's about as far as he would talk about girls, you know.
You ever see him with a girl?
The only girl that I saw him with was this Teresa Graciano, you know.
Socially, I mean. You ever see him with a girl?
No. Only, you know, on the coffee break, we'd be, you know, he'd be sitting with and talking with the girl, you know. And I don't know what they talked about or anything.
I want to do this one little more time over again, just forget like what that, pretend like that didn't happen. What? Okay? I don't want to ask to hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Tell me, what do you know about David Berkowitz and what your relationship was and all like that?
Well, when he first started working for the post office, the foreman told me to break him in and show him the breakdown of the mail, the processing of the collection, and like we worked together for about 3 months. He worked in my section, and he was a good worker. He was quiet, you know. We used to go to coffee together, and he would discuss he liked fish.
Frank Elliott, I'm sorry, Mike Elliott, M-I-A-M-I-K-E-E-L-L-I-O-T-T. Mike Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's. Tell me what you knew about David Berkowitz.
Well, I didn't know much about him before he had come to the post office. All I knew about that, he told me he liked to go fishing, he liked to read a lot of books, and that's about, you know.
Did he seem strange, weird? Did he seem at all...
No, he didn't. He seemed calm, cool, and collective all the time when we were working. He did the job, what he had to do. When it was time for his break, he went on a break. We discussed things that he liked to do, and that's about it.
What was your reaction when you learned that David Berkowitz was perhaps the son of Sam?
Yeah, well, I saw his picture on the Daily News, the final edition. And they didn't say anything about the Bronx post office. It just said that he worked for the post office. And when I saw the face, I said, I know him from somewhere, but I didn't place the post office. I said, I seen him somewhere in the Bronx. But then when the post came out and they said the Bronx post office, then I said, that's the guy. I worked with the guy, and I broke the man in when he first started working for the post office.
And on all that time, you didn't notice that there was anything strange or different about this fellow?
No. Nothing whatsoever, nothing different. No, just he came in, he did his work, and he went home. He used to like to eat hero sandwiches. He went out on his break to buy sandwiches, come back, and he'd sit down. But most of the time, like, he did sit by himself. Like the first couple of months, he sat with me, but after that, he stayed in the corner by himself with his books, reading. He looked like he was always deep into the books. He looked like a very studious person. And I was really shocked to know that he was the guy. It's very hard to believe.
Bring it, cut away. Believe it. First he's trying to talk you out of it, right?
Let's do this.
Ain't that pitiful?
Let's do it.
Tell me one more time, how did you know this guy?
Well, when he started working for the post office, they put him in my section.
Talk to me. Look at me.
When he was working he worked in my section when he first started working in the post office, and I broke him in. The foreman told me to show him the breakdown on the collection. You know, the mail coming into the post office from all areas of the Bronx, and like he was.
Got it. I just need about 5 seconds of this. Okay, tell me one more time. What you thought about this guy? Okay, come on a bit.
Well, I thought he was a quiet guy. I never would think. I would never think in a million years that this guy is son of Sam. Like, he was always so quiet. He did his work. He came to work. He had his breaks. He would sit down and he sat with me the first couple of months of training while I was showing him what to do, but after that, he broke away and he sat in a corner reading books, and that's about it. He would see me in the hallway, he would nod to me, but that's about it.
As the condition of one of the killer's latest 2 victims worsened, the parents of Stacy Moskowitz were summoned to the hospital. This evening, Miss Moskowitz, shown here as she was taken into the hospital yesterday, died of massive brain damage. Her date, Robert Violante, will live. He said he got a good look at the killer, but may never be able to identify him because Violante may have been blinded. New York's Mayor Beam directed that 100 more policemen be added to what's become one of the biggest manhunts in the history of this city.
This would, in essence, put approximately a total of 300 of police personnel on a constant full-time basis just for this investigation.
In Brooklyn, where the latest shooting occurred, detectives drew diagrams of the area and places where people may have caught a glimpse of the killer escaping. Other detectives canvassed door to door, looking for new witnesses or re-interviewing ones they'd already talked to.
According to the witnesses that we've talked to over the past 24 hours, he's a male white, 25 to 35, approximately 5'7" to 5'10", a stocky build, and he had light disheveled hair.
But police still have nothing they'd be willing to describe as a hot lead in the case. In fact, they've been able to rule out about a half-dozen suspects they had previously because all were accounted for and none were in the area of the shooting early Sunday morning. Robert Hager, NBC News, New York.
New York began feeling relief at 1:30 this morning when Mayor Beam announced the arrest.
I'm very pleased to announce that the people of the city of New York can rest easy this morning because of the fact that the police have captured a man whom they believe to be the son of Sam.
John Deal, whose girlfriend, Christine Freund, was murdered in January, said the arrest was good news for everybody.
I feel very good about it, that everybody can walk, or go out with their dates safe again now. Some of us had to, suffer through this.
At the Brooklyn home of Stacy Moskowitz, the last person murdered, her mother praised the police, but added that the family's life will never be the same.
It's a very difficult thing to resume anything normal afterward, as far as I'm concerned anyway. You just can't pick up nothing pieces when there's no pieces to pick up.
New Yorkers saw the arrest as a release for New York's young women and their parents.
I was getting a little worried since I have short length brown hair and everything. But now I feel much better.
Oh, I feel much safer walking the streets of New York. Much safer, I can go out at night and go to the discotheques and just feel better about it. I don't have to worry that my parents were very worried that I couldn't go out at night. I was always home, went to sleep early.
I think it's great. Now I feel so much safer about going out at night.
I'm very happy. I have daughters.
So after almost a year of tension and fear, this city's young people and their parents are beginning to relax. Lee McCarthy, NBC News, New York.
Berkowitz was brought to court in an armored van for his own safety. Inside, in a unique proceeding, 3 judges from 3 different boroughs of New York City shuttled through a single courtroom to hear Berkowitz plead guilty to 6 Son of Sam murders. Berkowitz spoke without emotion. At one point he said quietly, "I'm an excellent shot." Relatives of the victim were there, the mother of the last victim, Stacy Moskowitz, her father and young sister, Donna DeMasi, who survived an attack, still wearing a neck brace where the bullet hit, and the parents of the killer's first victim, Donna Lauria. As Berkowitz answered questions about the shooting, Jerry Moskowitz sagged, leaning his head against the courtroom wall. His surviving daughter, Ricky, wept. And there was one surprise, an accusation that Berkowitz was also an arsonist. A prosecutor said Berkowitz kept a diary logging 2,000 fires he claimed to have set in the years before his capture. After court, some parents were too upset to speak.
I only felt that it was, well, my daughter knew me.
Other parents were sorry New York has no death penalty.
I would have liked more to have happened to him. The electric chair, for instance, that should come back.
He still don't deserve to live. I still have to support him for being where he is today and where he'll spend the rest of his life. I'll never bring my daughter back. I'll never bring all the other kids back either, but that's all I can say.
When Berkowitz is sentenced in 2 weeks, he could get up to life in prison, but would be eligible for parole after 30 years. Robert Hager, NBC News, New York. This is the man police believe to be the Son of Sam, the .44 caliber killer who has killed 6 and wounded 7 in a string of attacks over the last 13 months. He was arrested outside his apartment in Yonkers, New York at 10:30 last night and brought to police headquarters about midnight. He is David Berkowitz, a 24-year-old postal worker who lived alone. He was smiling as he was brought in. Detectives displayed a .44 caliber pistol found in Berkowitz's car. The police lab says its tests indicate this was the gun used in the most recent Son of Sam slaying.
Ballistics section has just called and told us that the .44 caliber gun recovered tonight has been tested and the bullets match the bullets recovered from Stacy Moskowitz.
New York's Mayor Beam appeared after midnight.
I'm very pleased to announce that the people of the city of New York can rest easy this morning because of the fact that the police have captured a man whom they believe to be the Son of Sam.
It was Berkowitz's car that led police to him. It had been ticketed for being parked by a fire hydrant on the night of the most recent murder, just a few blocks from the murder scene. Routinely following up the ticket, police found the car in Yonkers and noticed a .45 caliber machine gun inside and an envelope addressed in the killer's style of handwriting.
He was apprehended. He was advised of his rights.
And he resisted.
Advised that he was under arrest, advised of his rights. No, he was resigned to what appeared to be his fate.
Did he make any admissions?
He made a statement along, well, you got me.
Besides the .44 pistol and the .45 machine gun, police seized a lot of ammunition at Berkowitz's apartment, along with a folder of press clippings with a poem written on the outside. The suspect doesn't bear much resemblance to any of the recent artist conceptions used by police, but one sketch drawn over a year ago does bear some resemblance to this Polaroid picture taken of the suspect on this night of his arrest. Robert Hager, NBC News, New York.